Well, good morning, everybody. It's September 28th, and it's Mondays with Bev and Paul again. It's your favorite day.
You're silly.
Hey, everybody, my name's Paul.
Oh, good morning. This is Bev.
Hey, Bev, and once again, technology drove me crazy up to the last minute.
What a way to start
What
our
the
week.
hell's in the planets here? Give me a break. Jesus criminy.
Everything's on fire. Uh,
Okay, but we've got it. I'm sure you can hear us. If you can't, give us a comment over there. But I think we're okay on your end of it. We're not so good on this end. But we're going to go
right.
ahead and we're
Yep.
going to fill the void.
We are. Oh, Lord. Really?
So we're going to talk about BioTouch Fills the Void for Children. We are going to build on the workshop that we had about childhood and adolescent isolation with our guest speaker, Gary De La Rodriguez. He was awesome. If you haven't seen the replay, go to our blogs, go to our website, justtouch.com, and pull down the health conditions under childhood and adolescent isolation. Great little presentation, but we want to build on it. There were some key factors in there, wasn't there,
Yeah.
Bev? You were
Oh,
taking notes like crazy.
well, I was. At some point, like I said, he said, Bev, do you have any questions for me? And I'm like, I don't know what I would ask. It was such a great presentation. Um, Again, I think what really got my attention is that what Gary's doing is he has a recognition that this problem, this epidemic in this country of young people taking their lives, has is a the family unit is crucial to addressing this. And it's not a new thought. You and I were talking earlier. All this has been around for quite a while, this touch phobia stuff. And he very plainly says that the family unit has been disconnected. And one of the what's missing is this one-on-one, this touching. And these kids, they have no hope. So
No
for
hope. That was a
me,
big one. Yeah.
yeah, that was the other big one. His work is with the family unit to bring it back together. And, we've said this so many times, everybody has heard this. What BioTouch is here to do, our main vision is to get this into the family. So Gary's vision and ours is so interlinked. I was just so grateful
Right.
for his presentation because, yeah.
Well, as I was going over it too this morning, which we want to build on with John Powers, who was a principal in a high school, but Gary was talking about how the gossip circles in these children used to be a handful, 6 to 10 people. Now it's thousands of people. You're being inundated with different opinions and isolation through the whole social media thing and the whole bullying thing that's happening. And it, it, what was interesting was when you talked about hope, he said BioTouch was a way to bring hope. And
Yeah,
we've been saying that all the time.
I know.
And he talked about BioTouch could fill this void that these children are feeling. He talked about those three hormones that uh, children are missing. The
Yeah,
oxytocin, the serotonin, the dopamine. The
yeah,
cuddle, the happiness, and the feel good
the
hormones.
endorphins. Yeah,
Yeah, they're just, and they all come from touch. That's the
yeah,
research has shown. They all come from touch.
I know. It's amazing. Oh my gosh. Here we are. Here we are, people. BioTouch is here.
It's just totally amazing. And so uh, he also, you were talking to me earlier about he's trying to bring resources to these kids. Didn't you have some notes there about what we
Yeah,
related to our self-awareness that
right.
BioTouch brings people to?
Well, he understands that if these kids are going to have if they have a vision of a future for themselves and a hope, that what needs to be addressed is working with them to help them remember that they are a resource of love and giving, and that to educate them, as he puts it, into their own self-worth. I mean, it's terrible that we have to educate these kids to tell them that what you think you are, all this peer pressure, as we were saying, and the right this and the right that is not who you are. And so Gary's whole thing, being that people mechanic that he is to educate families on how to speak to each other, for heaven's sakes. Stop being harmful in your speech. Recognize your own resources. And this is a very, very amazing undertaking, and an awareness, a self-awareness. And of course, that's what we've always said,
Right.
that BioTouch will eventually, through consistency, will encourage the expansion of our own self-awareness.
Well, when you talked about speech too, right? We have to speak differently. The right. He talked about this whole, even quoted from a Buddhist scripture thing about, the words mean this and it transforms into this, and
Yeah,
how we just, both of us, were thinking, biotouch, the
yeah,
unspoken word, but spoken so powerfully when you touch another human
right.
being, that it's so powerful for the spoken word. You just with
Yeah,
touch, just by
yeah.
touch.
That's what came to me when he was saying one of the three cornerstones is right speech,
Yeah.
harmlessness. And I thought to myself, well, we got that covered, because you don't even need to say a word with BioTouch. You just need to touch.
Right.
Period. That's it. That's a language. It's a language of love right there.
And those other two cornerstones were what? Let's go over those too. That's the first one, right speech.
Yes, the recognition of, oh my goodness, I forgot my notes.
Relationship.
Thank
Relationship.
you. Thank you. That the all important relationship, which is keynote at this time. We've talked about that in the last couple of shows. The equality in our relationships with each other, whether it's our personal family or the family of humanity itself. This is a keynote at this time, in this whole juncture, this whole playing out that's happening on the planet, is to bring us into relationship with each other. Well, this is, my goodness, this is one of the biggest things that BioTouch brings to everyone. This this immediate ability, opportunity to step into a relationship with another human being, touching, and this rapport, that's our nature, is to relationships.
Right.
This, and we're not being given that. it's
No.
it's it's crucial.
And the funny thing is, this isolate. Everybody says, "Oh, the isolation is bringing us." It's been going on for decades, and I'm going to
Yeah,
share that. John Powers, we're seeing that in the school system 25 years ago.
right.
Where we put these kids in these isolated boxes when we put them in school, and we don't touch them, and we almost don't relate to them. And he says, it's like putting an animal in a box. They just come out angry and they come out swinging and violent because there's
Yes.
no external touching going on. And we'll
Wow.
share some of his words. And your
So
your third cornerstone was what? That was the critical thinking part, right?
critical thinking. Wow, I love that terminology, because what has to start happening is this presence, this consciousness, to make choices. Well, isn't that just what we've always said about this consciousness that BioTouch brings? We call it self-awareness, but it's only in that self-awareness that you can begin to even have a different dialogue, and to be able to make different choices for your life, for your health, for your life. This is a crucial part of what BioTouch is here to offer humanity. Critical thinking. Oh my goodness. Everything begins with a thought form,
Right.
and then it just plays out through those other parts of ourselves that BioTouch opens us up to.
And we go back to our friend Bruce Lipton, just
Oh
change the
my.
thought, change the dialogue, the cells follow, and that dialogue is about love,
Yeah,
you know?
Gary was talking
Yep.
about this whole absence of time. It's physiological.
The data is in, folks.
Yeah.
This is not some hypothesis. It doesn't matter
No.
where you read. It's about bringing love back into our relationship,
That's the key.
and it's not about some theory. And BioTouch is a way to do that regardless of your belief system,
Right.
regardless of the level of awareness that you live in. If you're a human being, you can touch another human being.
Oh, please, please. This is what's missing in our
Yeah,
world, right?
let me share a few of the things that we gave a presentation once to the Tucson Unified School District, and there was nurses, there was teachers, there was administrators. We had there were a couple hundred people there. It was a very interesting presentation. It was with John Powers, who was a principal, Gary Schwartz in the research, and a 16-year-old got in front of all these teachers and
Right.
presented her story about learning BioTouch for her mother who had had cancer. And
Right.
BioTouch gave her something she could do instead of being helpless and afraid. Uh, it was
Oh,
incredible, just brought tears to all of our eyes, and I'm always reminded of that. And on our website, justtouch.com/schools, you can see this whole transcript by John Powers. I just put it up there. And just some key points is he says the current brain research, and that's 20 something years ago,
yeah.
indicates that creating an optimal learning environment enhances student learning and leads to measurable increases in student achievement. Everything Gary was talking about. There are
Mm-hmm.
well documented links to infant and child development and the importance of touch in establishing rapport and security. Those are two key words we could have a whole Monday
Oh,
show
right,
on.
right from the moment we're born.
Yeah. He goes, BioTouch is a process that can ease touch back into the educational environment. By providing a simple, safe, and non intrusive technique, BioTouch allows this natural human impulse to have expression in an appropriate way. He goes on later in this article to talk about the bad rap he got from all his peers. Oh, you can't touch people. Hugging's a no-no. The touchy-feely stuff has no place in education. The paranoia of touching their students and one another, being left in a room with a student of the opposite sex. And he just says blanketly, I do not share those views and see them as proof positive of the sorry state of affairs in education. If you talk to students and listen to them talk about their best teachers, they will inevitably say that those teachers touched them in some way. It may not be physical, but it was a connection that was made. The connection. That's all we're looking for, is a
You
simple
know,
connection.
how can you grow and achieve and contribute if there's not this sense of belonging and being cared for? It just is the whole womb of birthing a new way of being.
Right?
We survive and we grow and expand only in love. This is the message I really believe is out there, and we have an answer. It is called BioTouch.
BioTouch.
Yes.
So John Powers, what he did in his high school, it was a magnet school. He had us go and do BioTouch in the lunchroom during the lunch hour. So we had
Perfect.
two practitioners. We had chairs up in the front, and students could come and get BioTouch. All we did pretty much was the greeting, some neck and head work, and so they would just lift their shirt a little bit so we could do point one, and then do neck and head, which is easy to do.
Right.
And a couple of funny things would happen. First of all, the kids would zone out. They'd come out of a little 3-5 minute session and they go, oh my God, this is better than any drug I've ever taken. There you
Oh,
go, hitting all those hormones,
there's a
the
confession.
dopamine,
Right.
all that stuff, the endorphins, they just felt blitzed out. The other interesting thing was the other kids would come by and they would joke. and they'd come by and they'd whisper to the one sitting there, "Oh, getting your BioTouch, are you?" But the funny thing was, even though they were joking and making light of it, they'd come by. They wanted to see what was going on, and they whispered. It's like they respected the space that was happening, even though they had to joke a little bit.
Of course.
The big story was this one young teenager who was the school problem. He was always being kicked out of class and everything else. And he would come by us all the time. And when you asked him to sit down, he'd go, "No, no, not me. You ain't touching me. No way. I ain't getting into that silly stuff." And,
Right.
okay, but he'd always come by, so we could, So the funny thing was, there was a period of time in the school where if you got in trouble, you had to either get BioTouch or go see the principal, right?
Ooh.
Great little gimmick.
I love it.
So this guy got in trouble, of course, and he chose BioTouch. Good reason to do his BioTouch.
Yeah.
He was sold on it. He was so sold on it. In fact, the next classes that he went to in the next day or two, the teachers noticed a huge difference in his presentation. He wasn't as agitated. He didn't disrupt the class. And when we had a workshop there at the school, he recruited all the students to take the class.
Wow. I mean, that's a great testimony.
There's not a
to
better
the power,
testimony. Yes.
To the power of BioTouch. Oh, yeah.
So
That's
how
awesome.
vital it is. And we almost did. We actually had it all set up. We were going to do a research project there with a company in Oregon that does hormone testing. And we were going to do pre-post testings in a 4-week period of the hormone
Wow.
changes, because these stress hormones, and we have the research for that, were whacked out. They were way off the chart. I'm sure their sleep patterns were all whacked out. And the research with Dr. Stevenson showed a leveling out of stress hormone levels. So
Yep.
we know that with the research. We know that with the testimonials. You just got to try it. So what we want to share here is, here's what you can do at home, folks. This is real simple, and we're going to show you a family just doing the greeting.
The greeting is always performed at the beginning of each session. It's the only set that uses one hand, and the only set that indicates which hand to use. The greeting is performed with the dominant hand. If you are right-handed, use your right hand. If you are left-handed, use your left hand. The greeting is made by touching at point 1, which is in the fleshy area just below the bottom of the breastbone or sternum. Hold this point for 6 to 8 seconds. Then, with the same 2 fingers, touch point 2 on the back. To find point 2, look for the big bone at the base of the neck. From here, move 1 to 1.5 inches to the left. This is point 2. Hold this point for 6 to 8 seconds. More than one associate may work with a recipient, provided that all of the associates perform the greeting. If the associate or the recipient leaves the session, or if someone who hasn't done the greeting touches either the recipient or the associate, the greeting must be reestablished. Then the session may proceed from where it was interrupted.
There you go. That is how simple
Yeah.
30 seconds out of your life could be. You touching someone, them touching you would take 30 seconds. If you had a few kids, might take you a minute or two to do everybody in the family, and have the kids work on you.
Yes. See, this is part of Gary's whole thing, that all of the family members take responsibility for their own parts in the group. BioTouch lets everyone do that, don't they? It's just amazing. These kids are given an opportunity to do something for mom and dad. And it's just the most amazing time. It's always the right time to learn BioTouch, but right now, this is optimal time. Just take advantage of this.
Take advantage of it. Go to our website. Pass this on. Take the link and share it. Pass it on. Send it in an email. Post it on your Facebook. JustTouch.com. There's 2 things. JustTouch.com, and in the top there's a thing called Health Conditions. Take Childhood Isolation and share that on your Facebook. There's even a link on that blog on that page that lets you share it. Or copy the link and share it all you want. Also, Facebook.com/schools, and read that whole article by John Powers, the principal of that high school. let's share this. Let's get people out there. Let's let them see there is hope out there. There is a possibility to bring love back into our relationships, whether it's with the family or in the schools.
Right. Absolutely.
We could go on and on and on.
But thank heaven we aren't.
Thank heaven there's a clock that says it's been 20 minutes, Paul and Bev. Shut your mouth up now.
Okay, Paul.
We appreciate you taking your Mondays to share these with us. Please post this, like us on YouTube, Facebook, repost it. You'll all get emails to this. If you want to get all these shows, just give us your name and your email address. We love sharing it with you. Again, until next week. Hey, Bev, thanks a lot.
Oh, thank you, Paul, and thanks everybody for being with us. Have a great week.
Keep on touching.
Keep on touching.
If pain has got you down and you live in town, take a trip down to Pima Street. The people down there are people who care. They will get you back on your feet. Put love into action. Put love into action. If you ever want